everyone, I'm Sean with Team Ricochet Airsoft, and today we're going to be reviewing the G&P M14 DMR series. Now, one of the first things I noticed with this weapon is it is definitely a looker. The external metals and the nylon reinforced polymer stock really look and feel nice. It is full metal construction inside and out. The full metal points include the M14 flash hider, the front and rear iron sights, the one-piece barrel, and the integrated rail system. The rest of the gun is made from a nylon reinforced polymer stock, and it does feel solid, but there's one thing to note, that on the very edges of the mold, if you apply a lot of pressure, you can actually make it move by the slimmest of margins. I'm not saying that's going to fail you structurally, but it just doesn't quite feel as good as a VFC or a KWA weapon will externally. And because of that, I won't be treating this one the same. Internally, this gun uses the G&P M14 high-speed motor, the short type. So, love it or hate it, there's one thing that you can't expect with this gun, and that is above average rates of fire. The gun also uses a Tokyo Marui version 7 style gearbox, which I'm a fan of. Basically, they're taking a proven design that Tokyo Marui used on their M14s and adding robust alloy gears and a high-strength polycarbonate piston, so you can expect reliability and much better performance out of this gearbox. The gun does come with everything you see here except for the G&P T1 micro red dot. It does come with the integrated rails, which run down part of the side of the weapon and the majority of the top. And for those of you that are thinking that you can't use magnified optics on this because there is no top rail that runs completely over the receiver, you're wrong, and it leads to my next point. My next point is that this gun is completely compatible with all Tokyo Marui M14 parts and anything that was ever made for a Tokyo Marui M14, so there are a lot of rail kits and mounts that will go right over this receiver, so you can use whatever optics you deem necessary. The gun has a few interesting features that are pretty interesting. It includes the adjustable butt plate, cheek rest, and pistol grip. And finally, it does come with a G&P 160 round mid cap and licensed Stoner trademarks, which I think is a nice touch. The hop-up unit on this gun is definitely one of my favorites on any stock AEG. Not only does it do a really good job, but the location is fantastic. What I mean by this is the hop-up is located towards the front of the mag well, and what's really cool about this is you can, once you figure out which way is which on the adjustment for the hop-up knob, you can adjust it on the fly. So it does a great job. It's concealed, but there's no levers that you have to pull or anything like that. You can adjust it on the fly. The battery compartment in this gun is located in the stock. To open it, you just need to remove 2 flathead screws. Once you open it up, there's a Dean's connector waiting for you to attach your battery, so obviously you will need a Dean's adapter or a battery that has a Dean's connector on it. One thing to note about this battery compartment is to optimize performance, G&P recommends that you use their G&P M14 batteries that are made just for this stock. And one other little annoying thing about this is the top screw is shorter, has its own threaded port in the stock, but the bottom screw is longer and its threaded port runs through the rear sling. So if you remove the bottom screw completely, the rear sling falls out by design. What I personally do is I remove the top screw completely and I loosen the bottom screw about 8 to 10 turns so I can pull the butt plate out and swivel it down and just attach my battery and stow it away that way, so it takes less time and there's less hassle. So on to the good stuff. This gun is definitely solid in performance. It's rated at 350 out of the box. On our chronoing session, it did 350 to 360 FPS, so it's either hitting that number or a little bit above it. It does 15.8 BBs a second, so you can basically say the rate of fire on this gun with a 9.6 volt Dean's connected nunchuck style battery is 16 BBs a second. You'll probably raise that if you use a LiPo or one of the G&P custom batteries for this gun. So when you basically take these solid specs and pair it with a really solid hop-up unit and a 500mm inner-length barrel, you get an excellent field weapon, and that's exactly what this gun is. It is an excellent field weapon. So, on to the bad. No gun, in my opinion, is without its faults, no matter how small or how big. And this gun definitely does have a few faults. The first one is the G&P 160 round mid-cap magazines. They seem to be very hit or miss. You seem to get one that functions flawlessly out of the box, or you get one that needs to be lubricated. The next thing I noticed is the bolt catch on the weapon functioned perfectly fine the first couple times that I pulled the bolt back. It would lock it and you'd hit it again to slam it forward, which was a nice little touch, but now it seems to be very hit or miss and as to whether or not it's actually going to grab the bolt or just let it go forward. This is also another really nitpicky issue because it doesn't affect the performance or reliability of the gun. It's just a little addition they thought was cool. The next thing I noticed is the battery compartment on this gun. It's pretty annoying that you are either going to have to use a whole new battery to attach to the Dean's connector and fit in the stock properly, or you're going to have to buy an adapter to a new battery that you have that will fit in the stock. So it's not the biggest deal, but it is annoying that you're going to end up having to buy something, whether it's an adapter or a new battery, to make this gun shoot. And finally, and this is the only real issue that I see with this gun, is it's not easy to break down. This isn't like breaking down a real steel M14. It's an AEG, so breaking this down definitely is not for everybody. So if something ever does happen to the gun, you either have to be pretty skilled as a technician to work on it, or you're going to have to send it to a shop or go to a shop and have them fix it for you. But yeah, so now that we've gone over the performance specs, what's wrong with it, and just a brief summary of the gun, let's go ahead and test it out and see how it does. Marker. Alright, so let's see how the G&P M14 did. At 80 feet, you can tell there's a lot of penetration. The BBs had no problems hitting target. So at 80 feet, whether it's semi or full automatic, you're going to hit your target. So at 150 feet, you can tell that the gun really didn't lose any accuracy or penetration power. You can see there's definitely a lot of penetration marks and cluster marks where there's 2 or 3 BBs that went through. And again, at 150 feet, you shouldn't really have much of an issue reaching out and hitting your target. So at 200 feet, I obviously had a little bit of trouble getting the target off the tree, but there's one thing that I found impressive is if you look down here, you have 2 penetration marks, 1 almost penetration, 1 dimple. So at 200 feet, you lose some of the accuracy, but you still have enough power for your target to know that they got hit, and you can still reach out and touch them. And to be honest, you can go a little bit beyond 200 feet with your effective range. Alright, so to wrap things up, I'm going to give the G&P M14 DMR a 9 out of 10 on my scale. Yes, it has its nitpicky faults and only one real issue that I foresee with it, but I'm willing to overlook all these little faults because the gun has solid performance. We've seen that it does 350 to 360 FPS on the chrono. It does 16 BBs a second with not one of the best batteries in the world. It has a range up to and beyond 200 feet with actual power. It has a solid enough hop-up unit that you can use 0.28 gram BBs and have them sail well beyond 200 feet despite having a little bit of an FPS disadvantage when you compare it to something like a KWA. So it really is a great gun. It looks great. It feels really solid despite the polymer mold having a little bit of give when you put it under high pressure on the edges. It still is a solid weapon. It has proven internals that they have upgraded. And the most important part, the gun itself is priced in the mid-200s for everything here. This particular one is one of the more expensive G&P M14s at $265, but there are ones that are underneath this price figure, and it just offers a ton of bang for your buck. So it really is a great weapon. It should be one of the first M14s you should consider if you're looking for an M14 or a DMR. or even an assault rifle for that matter. I mean, it really is an easy going weapon that performs solid, and the price points, you know, it's available for everybody. So if you have any questions, comments, or ways that we can better our videos, please leave them in the comment section below. We do read our comments. I also have some combat footage of this gun in action if you want to see it in the description box below, along with a link to our public Facebook page and our Instagram information. So feel free to give us a like and a shout out, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel because there are more videos to come. I'm Sean with Team Ricochet Airsoft, and thank you for watching my review.